Germany's pension age debate. A coalition at risk. The ongoing debate regarding the retirement age is putting significant strain on Germany's already delicate coalition government. It's no secret that Germany's aging population poses a significant challenge to its generous pension system. Yet a provocative proposal to raise the retirement age to 70 has ignited widespread outrage and threatens to create further instability within the current administration. Chancellor Friedrich Merz, who has been in office since May, has managed to largely avoid addressing the complex issue of an increasingly elderly demographic. Instead, he has focused on promoting measures such as tax incentives to encourage older citizens to remain in the workforce beyond the traditional retirement age. In contrast, Katharina Reike, the economy minister from the Christian Democratic Union, CDU, and a former energy leader who has personal experience from her upbringing in East Germany, has taken the initiative to confront this urgent issue. Reike has been vocal throughout the summer, advocating for more realistic approaches toward pensions. The shifts in demographics and rising life expectancy leave us no choice. We must recognize that the duration of time people work will inevitably have to extend, she remarked in an interview with the Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung last month. We need to be prepared to work longer and more substantially. She referenced a study from a leading economic think tank, the DIW, that proposed over 2 decades ago that the minimum age for retirement should be set at 70 by 2025. Her concerns are rooted in the observation that most Germans are, instead, likely to work only 2/3 of their lives, a situation she deems unsustainable. Merz reportedly advised Reike to tread carefully with her remarks, urging her to consider the sensitivities of the Social Democratic Party, SPD, the junior members of the ruling coalition who are currently struggling with low approval ratings. However, Reike stood firm, arguing that many Germans find fulfillment not in retiring at the earliest opportunity, but rather in continuing to contribute their skills and insights longer into their careers. Seizing the opportunity, the SPD quickly positioned themselves against the proposed increase in the retirement age, viewing it as a potential divisive issue that could fracture this fragile coalition, which was assembled following the collapse of a previous 3-party government last November. SPD General Secretary Tim Klusendorf firmly stated, "Raising the retirement age is not up for discussion among us. Any such measure equates to a reduction in pensions." Klusendorf advocated for increasing contributions to the pension system by creating better incentives for women to work full-time, focusing on expanding access to childcare and promoting flexible job arrangements. Support for this perspective exists among various economists who emphasize that integrating more individuals into the labor force, including immigrants, could significantly stabilize the pension system going forward. Some analysts even suggest tying the retirement age to the average life expectancy, a model that has been successfully implemented in the Netherlands. Meanwhile, Bärbel Baas, the German labor minister and SPD member, has proposed ideas such as tax hikes and mandatory contributions from freelancers, civil servants, and parliament members to bolster the pension system, an approach that the conservative faction has firmly rejected. The statistics paint a worrying picture of the future. Back in the mid-1990s, there were 4 workers contributing to the social welfare system for every 1 pensioner. Fast forward to 2020, and that ratio had declined to 3. With projections suggesting that by 2035, it may dwindle further to just 2.4. Notably, Germany already boasts a higher-than-average rate of labor market participation for those aged 65 to 69, with employment figures around 21.2% compared to 16% across the European Union. As of 2024, the average starting age for pensions in Germany was approximately 64.7. In a related context, Denmark's parliament has recently enacted legislation aimed at raising its retirement age to 70 by 2040, setting the record for the highest retirement age in Europe. Interestingly, the SPD previously played a crucial role in evolving labor market policies in the early 2000s amidst a severe unemployment crisis, effecting substantial reforms that gradually increased the retirement age to 67 by 2031. CDU General Secretary Carsten Linnemann has echoed calls for similar bold measures today. arguing that Germany's current economic challenges will necessitate painful but crucial reforms. Yet, this conversation is not without controversy. Earlier in the year, mayors faced backlash after comments that were widely interpreted as criticisms of lazy Germans, raising eyebrows amid existing fears that Germany's once strong work ethic may not be sufficient to uphold its social welfare programs. At a business conference in May, mayors warned, "We cannot sustain the prosperity of our nation while adopting a 4-day work week alongside a push for better work-life balance." He later attempted to clarify that his statement was not aimed at all Germans, but emphasized the need to elevate the national average of work engagement. The government has made a commitment to maintain pension levels at 48% of average lifetime income through 2031, but critics have argued that this promise is unfair to future generations, especially in the absence of a comprehensive strategy to uphold the sustainability of the pension system. As the vigorous debate continues, one must ask, what do you believe is the best approach to secure Germany's pension system for future generations? Should the retirement age be raised, or are there alternative strategies worth exploring? Your thoughts could shape the narrative around this crucial issue. Comprehensive reform of German pension legislation explained. Germany's pension system is at a crossroads, and the government is pushing a sweeping overhaul to keep up with modern workforce demands. But here's where it gets controversial. Will these changes actually fix the gaps in retirement security, or are they just political window dressing? Let's break it down. The Federal Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs has unveiled a draft bill aimed at boosting the reach of occupational pension schemes, particularly for small businesses and low-income workers. According to the proposal, nearly 18.1 million employees had access to company pensions by the end of 2023, a 52% coverage rate. Yet experts like Dr. Andreas Schoberle and Felix Pickert from Pinsent Masons argue that this progress lags behind the rapid growth of employment in recent years. The government's response? A multi-pronged strategy involving labor law, financial oversight, and tax incentives. At the heart of the reform is a shift in how companies can offer pensions. Traditionally, only businesses under collective agreements could use the so-called social partner model, which pools employer and employee contributions. Now, the draft bill proposes opening this model to all employers, provided unions and management agree. Pickert explains, this isn't about forcing companies to offer pensions. It's about giving them more tools to do so voluntarily. Another key change targets opt-out systems, where employees automatically enroll in deferred compensation plans unless they actively decline. Previously, these systems required collective bargaining agreements. The new rules would let companies or service providers set up such plans independently, as long as employers cover at least 20% of the deferred pay. The idea? Make it easier for workers to save for retirement without having to opt in manually. But this raises a thorny question. Is automatic enrollment a smart default, or does it infringe on employee choice? Critics argue that people should have full control over their retirement savings, while supporters say it combats the out-of-sight, out-of-mind problem that plagues many pension systems. What's your take? The draft also modernizes the Pension Security Association, the body that safeguards company pensions during insolvency. By digitizing processes like contribution tracking, the government aims to speed up claims resolution and reduce administrative delays. For low-income earners, the reforms include expanding tax-free contribution limits from €960 to €1,200 annually, and increasing employer subsidies for pensions. These tweaks are designed to nudge more companies to include lower-wage workers in their retirement plans. Schoberle sums it up. The goal is to create a win-win for employers and employees. But let's not kid ourselves. Success depends on whether these incentives are enough to shift behavior. So will this legislation bridge the pension gap, or will it join the long list of half-baked reforms? Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think automatic enrollment is a fair way to boost retirement savings, or does it push responsibility onto employers too aggressively? Germany's pension crisis, why it's everyone's problem. The looming crisis in Germany's pension system isn't just a local issue. It's a warning sign for the rest of the world. As government expenditures on pensions skyrocket once again, economists are scrambling to find sustainable ways to fund these ever-increasing obligations. Brian Melican takes a deep dive into Germany's pension framework, exploring what this means for everyone currently contributing to the system, and why you should be paying attention, no matter where you live. But here's where it gets controversial. Germany's pension challenges are often seen as a uniquely national problem. Yet the underlying factors, aging populations, longer life expectancies, and economic pressures are global trends. This raises a critical question. Are other countries simply delaying their own pension crises? And if so, what lessons can